Welcome to Anthroposophy Today Radio Network. I'm your host, Douglas Gabriel, and I am so excited to give you the heads up on what we're about to do. We have a project in the works that is probably the most important thing that we've done in relationship to modern times and the consciousness we have to have. Because as we know, Rudolf Steiner told us this is the second most important moment in all of human evolution, because Christ's appearance in the etheric, the advent of Christ in the etheric, is in fact being engaged with a battle by other forces, other beings. And it is incumbent upon us to take control of our own self in relationship to machines and find our place in that battle and make sure that we are prepared for that battle. So what we are about to do is discuss a new movement that is appropriately happening here in America, a movement looking at mechanical occultism that Rudolf Steiner pointed out. Now, I want to say from the beginning and give a warning. This is not a talk, nor are the other conversations going to be light. This particular talk is going to be the straight shot of what is actually happening. I recommend that if you have not understood or read and understood anthroposophy, don't listen to this. Because what we're going to talk about are the very beings. We're not going to talk about theoretical ideas or forces like science talks about. We're going to talk about beings. So if you don't know the cosmology of Rudolf Steiner, you're not going to understand this to begin with. And secondly, it will scare you. We're going to be interviewing Andrew Linnell. I hope I pronounced your name right in this time. Andrew, I'm going to be interviewing him tomorrow. But I wanted to lay a foundation so people could understand these incredibly deep thoughts about the human spirit and machines. And so it gets into scary stuff. And when I ran into Andrew on Facebook a couple of years ago, I just loved his stuff. I loved his presentation. I loved what he was saying. I listened to his videos, looked at his PowerPoint presentations. They're just excellent. Then I met him not long ago at a meeting in Ann Arbor of the natural science section of Dornoch, of course, the High School for Spiritual Science, and they were discussing natural science ideas. And Andrew's kind of been leading a movement, and he started a newsletter called Mystech, and now he's inviting people to come online and have discussions about this, and he's going around to different conferences and even helping sponsor conferences to discuss this. So it is topical. And as a Neoanthroposophist, because remember, a Neoanthroposophist is a modern application of the teachings of Rudolf Steiner and the Western esoteric traditions. It's not exclusive to Steiner, but basically any esoteric tradition that gets down to brass tacks and truth is going to come to the same conclusions Rudolf Steiner came to. That's the simple reality. It's just that Steiner went much, much further. So what I'm going to discuss in this particular talk is just, it's a little bit too profound for most people. So when Andrew brought these topics up online 2 years ago, I pulled together an ebook on the topic of Ahriman's incarnation. There we go. See, I jump right to Ahriman's incarnation. So if you don't know what that means, you need to hang on to your hat or go back and study some basic works of Rudolf Steiner, or look at our videos and tapes and all the things that we present on Neoanthroposophy, as well as ourspirit.com, because the books that we have written, Untitled Gabriel, Dr. Gabriel, and myself, Douglas Gabriel, we've written 5 books, and it explains many of these topics. But we were going to write another book on Ahriman, because there's a story we have called it's the biography of Lucifer, basically. It's called Lucifer's Grail. And you need to understand that Lucifer and Ahriman are crucial because Ahriman is incarnating in America right now, according to Rudolf Steiner's indications. So we need to wrestle with the incarnation of Ahriman. We need to wrestle with the fact that Christ is appearing in the etheric and the battle is raging. And if the battle can be lost, but the battle is not going to lose the etheric realm itself, it's going to lose your etheric body. It's going to lose your connection to be with your etheric body, so you can then connect with the cosmic etheric body, the earth, or the earth etheric body, and then the cosmic etheric body of the universe, you could call it, or Steiner calls it the cosmos. So we have to lay out some basic thoughts here, because people are terrified. When Andrew put out his document also on the future, what's going to happen in the future, and I put out mine, it really, people were very thankful, but it scared them. They didn't know what to think. When you say the eighth sphere, For some anthroposophists, they start to shiver in their boots. They can't handle the concept of evil. Because Rudolf Steiner pointed out there's three levels of evil. You've got to call it out, you have to understand it and take it into yourself, and then you have to transform it. So we're just supposed to look at evil now, but anthroposophists think they're supposed to be following the teachings of Mani, who Rudolf Steiner said was able to transform evil. Well, that's in the future. So when Steiner talks about the spider network that's going to surround the earth in his day, which it didn't exist at that time, but now has, even with the electrical magnetic wiring of, that comes to all of our houses and goes to every building, without the enslavement of electromagnetism, we wouldn't have our modern world. But who thinks about that? And then when you think about the fact that Rudolf Steiner predicted very scary, scary things about the far future. The problem is anthroposophists who tend to be anti-technology don't want that far future to come too near them. Well, it is. It's already started in its beginning forms, and it has the potential right now to exponentially explode if consciousness does not contain the fact that we're giving up human thought for machine thought. So that's the context of what these talks are going to be about, and that's the reason I need to do this particular talk so that you can understand how this is going to fit in. I'm going to interview a number of people, and we're going to get a number of people's take on this, because though Rudolf Steiner told us about it, he even told us what to do about it, I know very, very few people that actually want to talk about this, a few dozen, because they haven't thought about it. They don't want to think about it, because it's scary. If you say Ahriman is incarnated right now, then the anthroposophists on one side run away. The anthroposophists on the other side immediately jump and say, oh, well, of course, he's going to hook himself up to the internet, and he will be this artificial intelligence god that everyone is predicting. Well, that is possible, though, in fact, a lot of that is stretched. So we have to keep the analogies used by modern science in relationship to the human body and machines out of the entire discussion. The human brain is not a computer. Your metabolism is not a physical power plant, and your heart is not a pump. You see, once you begin to take mechanical thoughts and you overlay them, pretty soon humans are limited by those thoughts. So Rudolf Steiner predicted that humans would begin to have gray shadow thoughts. He actually said that in the future, and particularly in the West, it would become almost reality, completely literal reality, that thoughts would be outlawed. No free thoughts allowed. He predicted that that would happen, and now we see that is true. Free speech is curtailed. They present to you on the internet what they want to, based upon your prior choices, based upon your clicks and your likes. You're basically not only being able to access this amazing machine, which I'll talk about in this, just your general computer, my laptop, on my lap. I'm going to talk about it. I call it the black box. And I say there's demons in it. Now, when you say that, or that Ahriman's going to incarnate, or that your thoughts are going to turn into a gray shadow thoughts that live on a web of connectivity that binds the earth like a cocoon, like a butterfly in a cocoon, that is what Rudolf Steiner said. But he gave even worse pictures. And the sad reality is, when we look at those pictures, we're terrified of them because we don't understand that the forces that we're working with are not forces. They are beings who are dying into the third dimension. You see, that's very hard for people to understand. But let's just look at it in machine language. People can understand it. As a matter of fact, I can only get people to understand anthroposophy if I put it in machine language. What they call artificial intelligence, what we would call alien intelligence, or what we could call a machine world that has now literally become already what Rudolf Steiner has predicted in a smaller scale. But it's, as I say, it's in its beginnings, but it's ready like a seed to burst forth if we do not have consciousness to contain this. So once we understand the beings that come into these forces that fall into the third dimension, then we can liberate them with consciousness and perception. The human being is the problem and the answer. And our journey on the quest is to go in between them. Nothing in the world is binary. And so when we work in the binary realm of the computer, it is in a realm that is not even in this dimension. Because nothing is binary in 3 dimensions. That's why they call it 3 dimensions. Up, down, left, right, back, forward. Okay? 3 different dimensions. With 2 dimensions, we're working with breadth and width, on and off. That's what we fall into when we fall into a computer. As a matter of fact, most computers aren't just 0 and 1. Well, you can consider them 0 or 1, yes or no, or magnetically polarized positive, or not magnetically polarized. And that's what all of these things really are. They're simply magnetic dots. Once you connect all the dots, it's in a machine language, which really pretty much can't be understood today by a human being because of the complexity of the software. But in the original days, when I worked with computers, and that's the reason I want to talk about these things, because I worked with the original computers that there were called unit record equipment, where you used wires to connect between one register and the next. And if you plug the wire in wrong, it doesn't work, and you have to unplug the whole thing. We could have thousands of plugs, thousands of wires connecting these registers that would simply do a little bit of complicated adding or calculations. And that was called unit record equipment. I actually wrote and understood machine language, which is really hard to believe that people go back that far. But I do. I worked in what was called symbolic programming system, machine language, and then Cobalt, Fortran, and all the early languages. So I had to learn it from the ground up. And then I was in the National Security Agency, and I worked with the most sophisticated computer in the world. That's one of the reasons after I was drafted, I went in. I wanted to work with the biggest computer in the world because I was already a computer programmer, and they said they could make me a systems analyst. Well, at that time, system analysts barely existed. They only existed in top secret military work. So I was happy to go do that. And then after 3 years, I said, I'll never work with machines again. But we have to address the question because, look, I went deeply into it like a crazy maniac. And then I got so burnt out on it, I had to get out because I saw the beings involved. And we can talk about the beings once we understand, first off, the parameters here and why it is important for us to discuss this. It's more than important, it is imperative. If you do not discuss the fact that you're using the internet, that you're using Google, that you're using all of these different forces that are available to you. For instance, Michaelic thinking. Well, what is Michaelic thinking? You have to rise up to it. Oh, well, now I don't need thinking. I check my phone, and the phone has every book ever digitized, the entire Library of Congress and more, in any language I want translated. So basically, am I not omniscient with my telephone? Am I not omnipresent by the fact that I can go to Flickr or Google Earth and be anywhere on the Earth that I want, looking at outer Mongolia, looking at places that only a few people get to, but they take a picture and they put it on Flickr and I can see it. And then omnipresent, omnipotent, and then in the middle ground, we don't have that, but we fake it with social media. We fake it with the news, with sports, with entertainment. So you could use the internet to read the great spiritual works of our time. And that is when literally Michaelic and Sophic and the Holy Spirit would, Michaelic, Sophic thinking and the Holy Spirit would come and they could help you. You don't need any electricity. I lived under a blue tarp in a valley in Hawaii, and the fruit fell on the ground, and what else is there really that you need? I don't need a computer. I can have Michaelic thinking, and it's available to us, but I have to do it through my own human thinking, not through machine thinking. I can look up look up more to read about the Archangel Michael than I have in my life to probably read. I can find out more information and be caught up in the Luciferic delusion that I am omniscient with my slave electronic digital devices. With my phone and the Internet of Things, I can control my personal life, my home life, my work life and my global life. I can take my phone, as I saw someone do the other day, was I was speaking to him, and he answered his doorbell. It was the postman, and he wanted a package, so he sounded something in his dog's room, made the dog go in the room, closed the dog's room in his house, and he's in my house, 50 miles away. And from his phone, he answers the doorbell, puts his dog in the room, secures that, opens the door, allows the postman to put it in, signs for it electronically. The postman leaves, he closes the door, locks it, opens the door for his dog from his phone while talking to me. This is the Internet of Things, in case you don't know about it. Cisco Systems has provided it. So we now not only have that we can do that with our home, we can do it with the whole globe. And there's a thing called the QRS 14 and other patents that basically make everything that move on the earth, everything that in any way has will force, is all controlled by one global system. And that system gets tighter every day. So we can be omniscient, we can be omnipotent, but we miss the middle realm. So we go to social networks, and we try to talk to our friends from our high school, from the past. And we try to reach out to people all over the world. And we start a blog, and pretty soon we got friends in China and everywhere in the world. Well, for a minute, we think we're happy. But when we realize it's all binary and we'll never meet those people, and we don't even know if they are real people, they could just be subroutines, artificial intelligence they call it. But it's questionable whether it's thought, and this is the whole issue. It is alien artificial, and it is machine, and it does mimic human thought. But in fact, I would not call it intelligence at all. I would call it anti-intelligence, because as you use your omniscience with your telephone to look up anything you want at any time, or control your whole life in your personal life, your home life, your work life, or the global life, you seem to be in a realm that makes you an angel or some kind of superior being, actually an angel, archangel, and a time spirit. You would be all three in that realm, because you'd be thinking, feeling, and willing, totally digitized and powerized by the uncalculable amount of hours that all of the software writers have written to create the apps and the programs that go into you turning on your computer and using Microsoft to write a letter and send it to a friend through the internet. These things were inconceivable when I learned about computers. As a matter of fact, we thought they were a fad in 1970 that would go away. When the internet came out, I laughed. I said, wait a second, that's a weaponized form of the Department of Defense. I worked on it. Why are they allowing humans to have access to the internet? Why are they allowing a police state memory system that can search the internet called Memex, which was invented by the military, the NSA, the FBI, the CIA, to look for criminals and to create the dark web so that they could entrap criminals? Why is that weapon being allowed to be given to children so they can Google anything and think the false thought, the gray shadow thought on the spider web network of the world that convinces you that you're omniscient and omnipotent? Now, here's the really, really sad reality that I'm not addressing, which I will, because once I address this, I have to address the beings behind this so that you will not be terrified. It's much worse than I'm talking about. And it's much worse than the fact that you're being surveilled and programmed with every device that you listen to or look at. Because Lucifer, Ahriman, and the Asuras are in all of these devices, these beings that I'll speak about in a minute. But the thing we don't think about is that not only is the world, the demons in the black box on my laptop, in a realm that I can't get to, I can't understand, and I can't think, feel, or will. And if I did will, and I tried to stick my finger in my computer, what would happen? I might get electrocuted and shocked to death. Nobody wants to think about the fact you're carrying death in every one of the black boxes filled with demons. How does that death get to you? Through electrical wires. What do the electrical wires do? They create electromagnetic fields. And so anyone near these wires, including the wire leading to your laptop, brings you in forces of Ahriman that are so profound that it will take hours and hours and hours of conversations with really brilliant people for these talks to reveal to you the forces that we're talking about. I've been discussing these things with very, very sharp anthroposophists for decades, And we've still only scratched the surface because as it grows exponentially, we don't know the forces. So, G5. What is G5? G5 is the alert that we are being told that soon, it's already in place, that the microwave transmitters in every antenna in America, let's just speak about America, will have every inch of America covered with electromagnetic frequency waves on so many frequencies, with so many heterodyne frequencies carrying so much wireless to your phone and to your wireless computer and your iPad and your house and your Internet of Things, that you are literally drowning in electromagnetic frequencies that attack your heart. These frequencies are anti-frequencies to the human body. So you need to make sure that you ground with the earth with your feet and go into nature. And now it's become even a religion that people go out into the forest to commune with the trees because they realize that, their job in front of a computer is draining them and killing them. I'm working on an article right now that's going to list all the illnesses recognized by doctors, and there are dozens. Internet addiction is it's a growing plague. No one knows, no one has any idea how many people are affected. But when you see a picture, say, at a high school basketball game, and you take a picture of 100 children, 98 of them have a phone that they're looking at. So these beings, through these devices, haven't come like aliens in spaceships to take us over and probe us and try to figure us out and understand us. No. The aliens are in your phone, your laptop, your iPad, and they're coming through the wall, through the electricity. They're there. Are they evil? Yes. But is evil bad? Evil is live, spelled backwards. Evil are beings at different ranks who have slowed down in time, like electricity is slowed down to create what scientists incorrectly call atoms, a little picture of our solar system, a little picture of our galaxy, a little picture of our supergalaxy, a little picture of our universe. And that's all that scientists can come up with, is theoretical ideas that God is a missing particle in the atom. And they've atomized everything, and they say it's okay because math proves it. Math doesn't prove anything without tolerances. Math is only correct with the tolerance level you're working with integers or negative numbers, whatever you want to work with. It's all about levels of tolerance. Math isn't true. So when they say there's going to be an AI that's going to take over the world and tell us all what to do for our own good and health, which is what is planned, we found the patents for it, and the Internet of Things and the Internet itself those are the ground lines being laid for Ahriman to move into that system. But Ahriman's not going to trust himself in wires. No. I'd hate to have to tell you the realities because they're so scary, but let me just tell you one reality. We won't need wires real soon. It'll all be in satellites. All Wi-Fi will be, and it's already done with the military, all Wi-Fi will be free. Yes, you heard me. Free entertainment, sports, exactly what you want, will be delivered to you, Wi-Fi, without wires, for free. And it will be delivered, it will be delivered through the very wires that come in your house through light. Light will be the new system, and that will simply take it from satellites. And Eric Schmidt has already built these. Google has already built them. They're already in space. They're already there, and they're closing up the network. That's what the secret satellites are about. It's a system called full spectrum. There's other names for it, many other names for it, but that's the new system. But it's now gone secret. Try to look that one up, folks, in Google, because Eric Schmidt controls Google. So you aren't getting omniscience. You're not getting omnipotence. And your heart realm, your heart itself, is being disturbed by the very frequencies that these things run to make you have the Luciferic illusion of omniscience and the Ahrimanic delusion of omnipotence. But when you look at the spy movies or any of the HBO series, what happens? The CIA takes out their phone. They listen to you in your house. They go into your Internet of Things. They can turn on the gas in your stove without lighting. I mean, come on, they're not making this up. This is real. And we've already shown in many of our articles over on our other side of the glass bead game that we've proven all of these things, shown the patents and so on and so forth. So when I refer to aimfortruth.org, which is where a lot of these things can be found, they aren't on the ourspirit.com site. So we have multiple sites. So when I'm saying these things, and I say we, there are many aspects to this that I can't really give you the full ramifications of. But let's just say that these vibrations, we even have ideas, we even have devices, tools that can help cohere electromagnetic frequencies and actually create a generator of positive energy. These things are already in existence. We're not the only ones who do these things. And so these are the kind of resonance devices Rudolf Steiner said would happen. He said we're not supposed to go into atomic destruction of electricity being turned into electromagnetism by gravity and being held in wires on the earth. Oh no. And then he spoke about this, and no one knew what Steiner was speaking about when he said, no, in the future someone will take something out of their pocket and push a button and a bomb will go off in a city far away. What was he talking about? Wireless. Steiner predicted wireless, of course, but wireless uniformly, that anyone could have these devices in your pocket that could control things at a distance. That makes you think that you're omnipotent. That makes the military think that but what happens? Lucifer confuses you. What is Lucifer there to do? Lucifer is an illusion that you're omnipresent, omnipotent, everything. Lucifer will delude you and take you into a world of cold light. Does that ring a bell? What is electricity but fallen angels, cold light, who use gravity to cause those angels to fall down because something is spinning? Well, what is electromagnetism? The Earth spins. It creates our own Van Allen belts and our own magnetosphere. Well, that's what generally generators do. They spin with copper wire or some kind of wire, create a magnetic field and create these powers of direct current, or then, thanks to Nikola Tesla, alternating current. And they put them on wires so that we can use it, and nobody appreciates them. Does anybody thank the fallen angels when they turn their light on in their house? Who even understands these gifts that have been given to us? And we as humans, as our hubris, our pride, thinking that we are deserving of these even devices, and that we're so stupid we don't know, we give ourselves over to these demons. What are the devices doing? What is Lucifer doing? What is Ahriman and Lucifer in their best union maybe ever, except at the turning point of time, because this is the second most important point in human evolution. So Christ's appearance in the etheric, the battle for the etheric, is when Lucifer and Ahriman, and with the association of asuras, which work in your will, in the realm of the archai, with the fallen Sarothic being of the realm of form, where Christ is working, the Antichrist, Sarot, works through the asuras, through your will. So what are these will beings doing? What are these asuras coming in too early to do? Eat your ego. Before the human has a developed human I am, a human consciousness that knows the first rule that gets you past Lucifer. What's the first rule that gets you past Lucifer? Look and see whether or not he's Lucifer or Christ. If he's effulgent cold light, that is Lucifer. Know him for who he is. The older brother, the fallen brother of Christ. But Christ is warm. Christ is in the heart. He's not in the head. So if you're being confused by lights and sounds and images of Lucifer taking you into a virtual world where you think you're a king, that's exactly what Soroth wants. He wants your ego. He wants you to go in there and think, I rule this realm. And then after you die, folks, you are going to stay in that realm. That's what Rudolf Steiner says. It's the eighth sphere. It's the realm of all the dead shadow thoughts. It's the cast off, in the Norse mythology, it's the realm of Hela. Hela gave birth to the Fenris wolf, whose jaw is so big it can open from earth to heaven, to the Midgard snake that wraps the earth, and to Loki, the trickster. Those are Lucifer, Ahriman, and the Asuras. They are the children of Hela. Hela is Soroth. And Soroth is creating the eighth sphere, and that's in the Norse mythology, they say Hela is the realm where, and this is the weirdest image I've never been able to figure out, but you can figure it out yourself, I guess. She's the realm of all the cast-off, cut fingernails and toenails of human beings. And she makes a ship out of them. And she rides that ship into to the battle of Ragnarok. And with her come her three children, Loki at the helm, the Midgard serpent wrapping the earth around, and Fenris wolf to eat everyone. Hello, that's what I'm describing. The fake Luciferic, Ahrimanic, Asuric delusion of the subnatural plane of electricity, electromagnetism, and what Steiner calls the third force, or some people call the atomic force, I think mistakenly. He said that when the third force is discovered, and we're not there yet, when the third force is discovered, and he said the reason we can't get the third force is because, like John Worrell Keely's devices, they can only be ran by someone who has morality in their presence. The second John Worrell Keely walked out, his astounding devices, which Rudolf Steiner equated to the device he created in his mystery dramas called the Strader machine, he actually says that John Worrell Keely gave us an example of the type of morality that can work with machines to make them resonance devices that can take natural cosmic resonances, which are tiny little frequencies, we would call them in today's age. He called them vibrations. Slowly raise them up through certain processes until they can become mechanical forces that are free energy devices. He demonstrated this again and again with his harmonic sphere. I know friends who have made the harmonic sphere. They did it exactly as the patent says and as the schemata says, but they couldn't get it to work because they didn't have what Keely had. And they didn't have anybody who could make the machine work. So these machines are in the future. But Steiner talks about them, and he says, when you have the power of the third force, human beings will be able to move planets. That has yet to come, though it will come. And we know how to do it because Steiner told us how to do it. And he even gave us a device. And I know that it sounds crazy, but I know people who have made one of these and made it work. And it's a very small frequency. And then the frequency it sends out is the frequency that is the natural frequency that creates levity on the earth, the frequency of silica. All trees stand up because of silica. Humans stand up because of silica. There would be no levity without silica. Silica can be put into life, into what they call negentropy, not entropy, into death, where the atomic sciences and the three lower forces of electricity, electromagnetism, and the third force take us into the lower realms of the earth. When we bring electricity up from the earth through magnetism to bring down the two-dimensional fallen sheaths of the angels that fall into electricity, we're imprisoning them to do our labor until they're freed, when that electricity is freed from the system. Nobody saw where it came from. Nobody actually knows what it is. And no one actually has a theory that encompasses the astounding works we've been able to do with Lucifer's gift of electricity, turning it into Ahriman's gift of electromagnetism. But without that, we wouldn't have our machines. But you see, it wasn't electromagnetism that caused the incarnation of this, started to cause the incarnation of Soroth through his Asuras. It was the steam engine. And out of the vacuum, like in John Worrell Keely's devices, vacuums can be used to create mechanical forces that give us free energy. But that isn't where he was supposed to go. And John Worrell Keely realized that. In the last part of his life, he worked on only vibrations and frequencies, generators, special types of generators that created antennas that broadcast and received. You can create a Keely or a Tesla device that can listen to the etheric. I've seen this done. I've heard them. And when you start to realize that we now have machines that can listen to the life body of the earth, the levity body of the earth, we never use the term ectropy or levity. We're always looking in science at death, entropy. We need to look at what they call negentropy. And when we do, that's the forces that will cause these machines to work, and we will work with the proper angels, archangels and archis. Instead of Lucifer, Ahriman, and the Asuras, guided by Soroth, we will work with Michael, Sophia, Holy Spirit in our astral body. We will work with Rudolf Steiner's cosmology in our heart, because that's what's going to get us through this, which I'll talk about in a second. And we need to have Christ's etheric body enter into our physical body, because that's the only thing that's going to be able to redeem our thinking and turn it into what Rudolf Steiner calls imagination, or into the next level called inspiration, or into the next level called intuition. In other words, angels, archangels, archai. Let me repeat that. Imagination is the realm of the angels. Inspiration is the realm of the archangels. The archai is the realm of intuition. It is in the realm that we are fighting, is in the realm of Lucifer. It is in the astral realm. It is in the astral light. It's taking over our thinking, and then that, by trickle-down effect, is taking over our feeling and our willing. But the real battle exists in the realm of the etheric, where the archai are fighting, and who's leading the archai? The archangel Michael has risen up to his regency, and he is fighting in the realm of the etheric for Christ, so that he doesn't get re-crucified by human gray shadow dead thinking that goes into the eighth sphere, that causes humans never to even leave the realm between the earth and the moon after an incarnation. Humans who are bound by materialism and bound by the asuras eating their ego and bound by Ahriman eating their feelings and fallen for the Luciferic delusion of the demons in the black box, they're going to eventually just only stay in the eighth sphere. And in the Jupiter round of the earth, and I know for you non-anthroposophists, I'm not going to attempt to explain that, but in the future, the realm of love, which we're creating right now, there will be 3 ranks of humans. And the highest rank will not have any machines. The middle rank will, and that will be where the evil ones live. And the lower rank will actually become, as Rudolf Steiner described them. And I warned you I was going to say these things, so you will become a slug. You will not have a head. You just slosh around in the slime on the eighth sphere. At least that's what it will appear to feel like. Not necessarily as physical as the images arising in your mind, going into your will, which is, of course, the bad effect that I'm speaking about, that thinking goes directly into the will without feeling now because machines have taken over our feeling. But you can become a slug being, or you can become an evil one who thinks you can control this mechanical world through devices, or you will be floating in an atmosphere where it'll be transparent. You'll be living with the forces of the sun, coming directly from the sun. We explain that in all of our books. But it's a hard concept to get. And when you hear the talks we've done on the ethers, that will get you close to understanding what we're talking about for the true future, the bright future. The future is so bright that when people are looking in their phones, looking for a Luciferic delusion, they're not looking with their higher astral body, their tamed astral body, their consciousness soul, turning into their spiritual soul, tapping into the spirit self. When they become selfless and tap into the spirit self with their eye, they will see beings coming, as Rudolf Steiner said, the beings coming from the future spheres. He called them the beings of Mercury and Venus, the superhumans coming from Mercury and Venus, our older brothers and sisters coming from the Pleiades, the Vulcan superhumans coming. They're all here. They're coming. The second coming is now. It's in the etheric. Instead of watching the movie on your iPhone or your computer or your TV, we're supposed to be watching the spiritual movie in the etheric. We're supposed to be watching the second coming of Christ. We're supposed to be having the Damascus experience either out of our own volition, out of grace, or out of horrible despair in some cases. But the point is, Christ is manifesting everywhere as omnipotent and is omnipresent. And through that realm of the heart where those rays go, those electromagnetic frequencies, those microwave rays that are now filling every single speck of the entire river spectrum of mechanical vibration we live in, Christ is walking in that realm. That is not a myth. But anyway, what did Navala say? He said, turn history into a fairy tale. We're living in an age unlike the ages where everyone thinks they're at the millennial time and the end has come. We are actually living in the second most important time in human evolution. This is not an exaggeration. Has the apocalypse come? No, it has not. Have images of the apocalypse come? Absolutely, in every respect. The 2-horned beast is the binary world of the machine, you see. And what is it that we need to awaken? Who's going to open the scroll and the seven seals? That is the Lamb who has been slain, who takes the throne as the four cherubim bow, as the 24 elders bow. The Lion of Judah opens the scroll, the seven seals. Those are your chakras. Those are the planets. Those are the harmony of the spheres. What does Christ bring in the realm of the heart? The missing piece, the harmony of the spheres. Your heart controls your other six organs, like the sun controls the six planets in our solar system. Christ controls the sun. He's higher than that, but that's his local place. And what does Soroth want to do? Steal your heart. He wants to steal your feelings by embedding you in a realm that's going to be one of the spheres of our next incarnation of the earth, where machines rule. Where only if you're evil can you rule there, because those machines can only be run by evil people. But right now we have the chance to understand this, and by bringing it to light, we diffuse it, and it won't be so bad, and we will not end up losing so many to the lower realms. We will not lose them to the machines. We will not lose them to the intent of Soroth, who is the being who wants to eat your ego. That's what the Asuras do. They come in and every bite that they can get out of your ego. Where is your ego? Well, one place it is that you don't really think about too much is in your willpower. Everything you do makes you feel what you feel and makes who you are, makes your ego, your identity. So everything you do needs to become a ritual. Steiner said that we can't have the third force until science learns to use their laboratory as an altar for deeds of morality. He said only when we bring ritual back into our life will we get the morality to even be able to accept these gifts that will come to us from the hierarchy, that will show how you can have moral resonance devices. On this site, I believe, if not, we'll make sure it's available, is a story called The Fairy Tale of the North. It describes one of those resonance devices. Now, it's a fairy tale. We could describe it in great detail, and it is actually inherently described in The Fairy Tale of the North, but we can't give out the secrets. But those secrets are coming, and we know those secrets if you rise into the etheric. They're not our secrets. If you rise into the etheric, all thinking is Michaelic, it's universal, it's cosmic. With the help of the Holy Spirit and Holy Sophia, one of the three aspects of the divine feminine trinity, who Steiner called Anthroposophia, he said that what we need in our time is not Christ. What we need in our time is the wisdom of Christ, the Sophia of Christ. We need to understand Sophia. Sophia connects us to the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit takes us to the realm of the etheric, where if you are fortunate and you rise up to it, or you have grace or great despair, or whatever, Christ may come to you through some dispensation. Once you see Christ, how many times did Saul need to see Christ before he became Paul? Did he need to see him again and again? No. But he did rise to the seventh heaven. That's the book of Revelation. In our third volume, we explain the entire book of Revelation as what happens in your own physical body as you go through the realms of Lucifer, Ahriman, and the Asuras. And that's what we need to do. We all face the book of Revelation. We all face the threshold. We all face thinking, feeling, and willing, being sent off in the direction that can be evil in our double, neurosis, psychosis, and the aberrations of sex and violence. That's what happens at the threshold. We don't want to face the threshold anymore. We want to go to bed with our phones. The last thing we want to see is our phone telling us whether or not we're going to get a dopamine hit from somebody giving us a message, or somebody sending us an email, or someone sending us an Instagram, or someone sending us a Snapchat, or heavens, if Facebook tells us that somebody liked the thing that we just put out. Oh my goodness, they now show that Facebook was always a military psyops project to see how far they could go to control people by getting people to give up of their free will willingly. Now you see the heads like Sean Parker and others of Facebook coming out saying that's what we did from the beginning. We created Facebook as a social network and all the other social networks to suck up every ounce of your time so we could sell it to companies for commercialization to sell you products. But then we also, that was just one aspect. This was a military project. We wanted to see how far we could get people to go. Now they know you can radicalize somebody in a day on the internet. People have been radicalized and killed people on a day on the internet. Anybody want to think about how that happens? We give out articles that explain the scary truth of that. There are devices. There are many, many, many programs. You are being controlled whether you like it or not, and we're doing it willingly. And the last thing we see before we go across the threshold is we give up of our willpower, every speck of our thinking, every speck of our feeling. We sit next to people. My daughter just did a song for Christmas, said, "I want to spend Christmas looking at my phone next to you." That's what holiday is. Looking at your phone. All the young ones are already addicted. If you look at your phone at night before you go to sleep, you go blind. Internet addiction is one of the fastest rising plagues in America. There are dozens of illnesses that are created by use of these electronic devices. It steals your will, and your new ritual is a ritual of bowing down to Lucifer, Ahriman, and the Asuras, and especially Soroth, because they're all working to steal your ego. Now, the thing is, Lucifer wants to steal your ego for his sake. He really doesn't like Ahriman, but he works with Ahriman when he has to, like these devices that have entranced us. Rudolf Steiner said that one of the worst things that can ever happen in spiritual development is when you become fascinated. Fascinated, not fantasy, fascinated. Are you not fascinated / hypnotized by the omniscience and omnipotence that your devices bring you? We are fascinated. We are deer in the headlight. We are rats in the maze. We are an experiment. And I speak for myself. Now, how do I get around that? I pray. I thank the angels, the archangels, the archi. I see the beings for who they are in the limited way that a human being can see them. These are invisible forces. All these hierarchy are invisible. And so are the subnatural forces. And so are most of the forces we use in our daily life, whether it be light, electricity, oxygen, even water is transparent. So warmth, without warmth, we can't exist. You can't see warmth. You can't see atoms. You can't see anything the scientists say, make it up. So really, we live in invisible worlds. There are other dimensions penetrating us. Not a whole bunch of dimensions, Rudolf Steiner says. There's only 3 dimensions. The next dimension is time. When you give up your time, you give up your willpower to these devices, you see. You're going into the anti-dimension. You're going into the sub-realms of the earth. You're going to the realms of evil. Can you go into the realms of evil? Of course you can. If you bring warmth and light and the harmony of the spheres and Christ into your work, if you bring the passion into your internet communications, if you get off the internet and you talk to them on the phone and then you get together with them and you see their face, that's what we do. We bring people who we need to help train us so we can grow in our development. We need to see them face to face. We turn off all our devices. We know everything's listening. By the way, I created a device in 1974. I won't give you the top secret name for it when I was working with the NSA, but we used microwaves, and all we had to do was point them at any window, and we could hear any conversation in the house. A window is a diaphanous listening device as long as you use the right frequency. So diffuse microwave and G5 is penetrating everything. So if you think for 1 second anything you say or do is not being surveilled, but human warmth cannot be replaced by machines, you see. Lucifer is cold, Ahriman is freezing, the Asuras will freeze you to death, and Soroth is the anti-sun. So what we get here is an attack on your warmth body with the ethers, and we wrote a book called The Eternal Ethers, A Theory of Everything. We didn't create the theory of everything. The theory of the ethers is the first thing any religion talks about, or any shaman. It's warmth, light, the harmony of the spheres, sound, which is the planets raying into us, their vibrations, and then what is called life, or the vibrations of the cosmos raying into us. It's really rather simple. And once you understand these things, you can look at the forces and see them for exactly what they are. I worked in the deepest electromagnetic fields you can imagine for the NSA. I can't even talk about it. But I can tell you this, it gave me illnesses I still work with today. So all these things will give you illnesses, but so does coffee. So does sugar. So does eating any glyphosate wheat. So does basically eating bread. So everything's a poison, even water. I knew a friend who went in the hospital the other day. He drank too much water because he had this hiccuping problem. He almost died. Rudolf Steiner points this out. Anything can become what we call cancer today, or an element that can kill you by working against you. Well, that's what these things are doing. So the forces we're working with, all the ones I've spoken about, are all below the realm of the Elohim. So don't worry about it, folks. The Son is going to take care of everything. Christ working through the 7 Elohim, which controls the sun and the 6 planets. That's where he comes when he works from the Trinity. But remember that the being of Sophia of wisdom works from the realm of the Kyrieutetes, 2 ranks above that. And the realm of movement is in between them. So when we want to talk about the realm of form that creates our I, and the being that wants to eat our I through form, through materialism, realize that all you have to do is add the 3 ranks above that. All you have to do is add movement, wisdom, harmony, and love, the 4 ranks. Actually, and will, but the will has to be rightly aligned will. But basically, all we have to add is movement, the realm of the dynamis, the realm of the beings of movement. If we add the realm of the being of the Kyrieutetes, the realm of wisdom, we see right through these things. I laugh myself in my imagination and talk with these beings, and I acknowledge them for what they are. And you have to walk around life being extremely grateful because we have slaves that do our work for us. All our food is brought to us by forces we don't, and people we don't see, and machines we don't see. Gratitude will conquer all of this. Lucifer doesn't have a speck of gratitude in him. Neither does Ahriman. He's anti-gratitude. And when you say gratitude to Soroth, you chase him back to the sun. He tries to come down here and work through the Asuras and the other forces, Ahrimanic forces. Lucifer doesn't really like Soroth that much because Lucifer's so egotistic, and Soroth is just nothing but anti-ego because he wants to eat everyone's ego and put it into the 8th sphere. He wants to create an anti-Earth. He wants to create a mechanical machine Earth, and he's doing a pretty good job of it. But it isn't set up yet. Can we foil Ahriman? And in my biography of Ahriman, which my wife and my biography of Ahriman, which we've already written the outline for, yeah, we can work with Ahriman. Ahriman is what is Ahriman's intent? Ahriman is incarnated in America now, and by the signs of it, it looks like he may be in high school. I say he, could be he, she, it, I don't know. But by what Rudolf Steiner said in his indications, he said, not of the day of the 20th century will pass that Ahriman will not be incarnated in the northwest of America. So we've pinpointed where, and we actually pinpointed all kinds of things. And we've actually sent teachers to this person to try to change them and get them in the right schools to begin with. And we think we may be successful. And so we may have already antidoted Ahriman. So chill, people. There isn't going to be an AI that controls the world. We're going to antidote it with consciousness and wisdom, with movement, with eurythmy, with Waldorf education, with painting. Everything we do as the arts in anthroposophy is movement. It's the I given to us by the beings of form moved into the realm of movement and wisdom. And then we have harmony and love. And when you see a true work of art, that's what it solicits, is higher beings. It's like a lightning stroke, or the awe and wonder that comes with hearing thunder, which is also the higher hierarchy in this lowest realm. Remember, when I say hierarchy, they don't come into this realm. They fall into this realm, and they die into this realm. And when they die, that's what we think is life. That's ectropy. The most we can attain of understanding in this life is the wisdom that creates life. And we really don't understand that at all. We don't even study it. We don't understand levity. We have everything about gravity. We don't understand levity, except for flying planes, which isn't levity. That's working with the air. Levity is working with the true forces of life. And when that comes, the machines will work by your moral force coming from your heart. Your heart is the same frequency of the Schumann wave, which is created by the spin of the earth, which is also the same wave coming from the cosmos. So your heart is the local antenna and broadcasting station for all of this. You don't have to go anywhere further than your heart to conquer all these things. When you get in your heart and you put Christ on the throne of your heart, Lucifer screams, and you have him completely controlled like the representative of mankind that Rudolf Steiner did. You are controlling Lucifer and Ahriman, and thus the Asuras and Soroth come under your control, and you can use the internet for good. But so many people use it for bad because it creates such bad habits and because they don't have gratitude as they approach it. So we have to say these things as kind of a basis. And there's going to be, it's even scarier than that. Rudolf Steiner said there would be a realm between the mineral and the plant. That's already happened. That's the electromagnetic realm. Then he said there'd be he didn't say this, but he implied it and he said other things. But he oftentimes doesn't put it in simple plain graph form like I'm giving it to you now. He also said that not only would there be this realm between the plant and between the mineral and the plant, where minerals seem to come to life. That's what microchips are. That's what the computers are. That's what the demons in the box are. Then there'd be a realm between the plant and the animal. Uh-oh, we're already seeing that. Between the plant and the animal. What do animals do? They eat the plants. What is this realm? They live in the realm that they eat and live in and eat each other. But we're living in the realm of what? Wireless, microwave, EMF transmissions. So we have that second realm already arising, and it's invisible. Then we have, unfortunately, the next realm, which is the realm between the animal and the human. And by the way, in that realm between the plant and the animal, that's all social networking. That's almost everything you do on your computer. All commerce now is practically done on the computer. The whole world is run by the computer. All military, all commerce, almost everything. So in that realm where you only can think binary and there are no feelings allowed, that is the realm between the plant and the animal. It's not astral and it's not etheric. But then there's a realm beyond that, and that's the realm between the astral and the human, and between the animal, the astral, and the human. And that realm is the realm of what Eric Schmidt is building right now, called the Atlas Warrior Robot. This thing can jump backwards and land on its feet. It can knock down a wall with its metal hand. It can drive cars. You can give it a very, very long list of things to do. It can go do it on its own independently and come back. It has its own onboard batteries. They're already being used. So I don't consider artificial intelligence, I consider that a myth. Eventually there will be machines that wrap this earth and rule it, but will it be one artificial intelligence? I doubt it. Will Ahriman be plugged into that? He would like to. Will Soroth plug into that? Soroth will come to live partially, but not physically, in the 8th sphere. So these things are on their way, but we can antidote all of them. So don't get depressed, and don't be a Luddite, and don't be an anthroposophist who rejects TV, movies, and all technology. When I was taught as a Waldorf teacher, they basically said, yeah, no movies. So I unfortunately was told by my anthroposophical teacher to help Marcia Lucas write a story which became Star Wars. But we never watched it, and the Waldorf world didn't even want it because it was a movie, and they know what movies do. Rudolf Steiner railed against watching movies because he said it will create emotions for you through the light and the sound that aren't yours. Folks, this is our entire bad heart realm where our ancestors live. I can make Michael Jackson sing and dance for me right now over and over and over on a video all day long. Poor Michael Jackson in the realm of Kama Loka, what's he doing? Dancing for me. He is bound by elementals. Now the love and the warmth that he sent through it still affects me, and I still send him love, even though he had many faults. You see what I'm saying? So when you create these things and they become pseudo-permanent in the realm of the 8th sphere, whether on video and audio or internet or whatever you're doing, commerce, whatever, entertainment, sports, and the top thing that the internet was used for at first, pornography. Second top thing it was used for, gambling. And who was it that created that? The National Security Agency. I know, I was in it. And they did it to entrap people to see how they could control people. Then they were going to use it against other countries. It's out of control at this point, folks. It isn't in the control of the Department of Defense or any of those people who created it, the internet and all that it is, and all social networking. It is under no human's control. It is beyond all humans. But we can enter the belly of the dragon, like Rudolf Steiner said, and conquer the dragon, the incarnation of Ahriman. We're trying to do it now with love by teaching him the good stuff in school. We're trying to teach him through what we are putting out into the world through other methods and through the teachings of anthroposophy and all those who have followed after Rudolf Steiner with similar teachings or his teachings. We're trying to affect Ahriman so that Ahriman will not seek what he seeks most of all, which is permanent incarnation, eternal incarnation on the earth in a human body and or something similar to it, whether cyborg or otherwise. In our story of the biography of Ahriman, we try to say, don't do that, Ahriman. We already see him when he's already done it, and then we try to warn him what it's all about. He will not, and no one will ever, learn to live eternally in a human body. That is a myth. There is no artificial intelligence that is human thought. That is a myth. Artificial intelligence will not take over the world. Humans in lower categories of development will give over their willpower to it willingly. There will not be a big brother. It will be your mama. You will be happy. It won't be the TV watching you in like 1984. You will be watching the TV. It is controlling you through allurement of Lucifer and the amazing machinations of Ahriman. And while you are deluded and the illusion is distracting you, and you are getting dopamine hits and cortisol hits, cortisol from anger and adrenaline from Ahriman, and dopamine and serotonin from Lucifer, through the lights, the flashing. Everybody should know this by now. Lights can flash and put you into a seizure. Lights can flash and put you into ecstasy through your amygdala nuclei and through your septal nuclei in your brain. This is a known fact, very simple to do. So what is happening? You need to develop your ego, develop gratitude, understand Christ in the etheric, realize the battle is in you, it's not out of you. Drop the digital device, get it away from you, connect to nature, and develop your eye in relationship to the real show that's going on, which is in the etheric, rising up through the realms of Michael, Sophia, through Christ, and into the realm of your true cosmic eye that's trying to reach you through the etheric. That's what we're supposed to do, not deaden the etheric by simply giving your will over to machine language, to a machine world, and to machine thought.